Hey everyone, welcome to Salesforce Mojo. Today we're going to be talking about commerce objects and fields, part 2. So last time we covered a couple of the groupings of data within Commerce Cloud. Today we'll be covering cart, promotion, and order. And I'm really excited about this one because this is all about bringing the last set of objects into completion, right? You have all the structural objects that we talked about. Now we're talking about carts and moving those to orders and providing discounts. So these are really impactful objects here, and there's a lot to go over. So let's get right into it. So today we're going to be covering the three last groupings that we didn't talk about last time. The first being cart, we'll then go into promotion, and then into order. Now let's begin with cart. Now cart is one of the most essential objects inside of the commerce space because this allows a person to place an item in a cart, signifying they actually want to purchase this. So you can see we have several objects on the screen here, and I've actually added another column on the right hand side because as we go through these objects, some of them are available in the UI, meaning in Salesforce or in the object manager, and some of them aren't. So I wanted to call out a couple of the key ones that you actually won't be able to find inside of object manager or in a tab. Now the first object we have here on the screen is cart, also known as web cart from an API perspective. This is the top level header record for every person who wants to be able to add an item to a cart. And every single cart is going to have at least one item in it. And so you can see that we have a cart and we have a cart item underneath it. You can have multiple cart items related to a single cart. We also have this concept of a cart delivery group. This signifies where this is actually being shipped to. So kind of a key grouping right there, a header level cart, which is who the cart's related to, the item that I want to purchase, and who I'm going to ship it to. We then have our cart delivery group methods, which is now how am I going to ship it there? So UPS, ground, air, etc. And then we have cart taxes, which is just what it says, all the taxes related to the cart record there. And then we have a few other objects that are attached here at the bottom called cart item adjustment, adjustment group, checkout session. These ones are the ones that aren't going to be particularly easy to find, but I think it's important to kind of know the underlying workings of these objects here. The adjustment objects here are related to promotions, either standard or if you decide to customize. But these adjustments allow you to track all the changes that are happening to your item while still holding the integrity of what was the initial price of this item. So if I have an initial price of $200 and I add a discount for $10 off, it's going to show me both the $200 in the cart, the adjustments underneath it at an individual field level on the cart item, but then underneath these, there's these cart item price adjustments and adjustment groups that keep track of all the individual changes and how they are applied to the actual cart. So with that, let's actually jump into the data model because I think this will make more sense when we get there. Okay, so here we are back on the Lucid chart that we were creating last time. You can see we have 3 new tabs across the bottom that we'll be discussing today. As I mentioned, we have the cart and the cart item here. These are master detail relationships between the two of them. And we have our cart delivery group and delivery group method, adjustment group and adjustment group basis, and the price adjustment. So I've added just 1 or 2 more on this screen here to make it more sense. But you can see that we have our cart item price adjustment and adjustment basis reference ID, which really makes absolutely no sense or doesn't have any correlating objects. But let me show you how you would actually get to this information. So the first thing we'll do is we'll hop over into Object Manager and show you what is available and what isn't available. So we have cart item price adjustment, we have cart adjustment group, we have cart adjustment basis. So if we hop over into Object Manager, you can see that we have cart item and we have cart item price adjustment, but we don't have the other 2 underlying objects. So if we were to hop into this adjustment right here, you can start to see that this adjustment basis reference ID is actually related to a coupon. And then as you scroll down, we have our adjustment group, which is related to the cart adjustment group, which is one of the records we can't see. And then we have our price adjustment cause, which is the actual promotion record. So we'll be going through the promotion stuff here in a second, but just a quick overview is promotion is a parent, coupons are children of the promotion. You could have multiple coupons to a parent. So this gives you a good reference of where did this discount come from? and specifically what coupon gave this adjustment. And then it gives in all the other information about the currency of how is this adjusted based on this information. Now, if you wanted to actually dive in further to the cart adjustment group and other records, once you're over in Workbench, you'll be able to go to your drop down here, and you should be able to see cart adjustment, cart item price adjustment, as we were talking about here. Well, you'll notice that those other objects we were talking about also aren't in here. But let's go into our cart item adjustment first. Once you're here, the easiest way to do this, in my opinion, is to select all the fields here, quick query, and then as you scroll over to these fields that we're talking about, you can see we have our cart, we have our cart item. Those ones we find pretty easily. We have our adjustment cause ID, which if you really wanted to see more about this, you could click into this and you could see, oh, yep, this is the promotion. It was the $10 off one. And you could see all the other relations to it as well, such as the owner and created by and all that fun stuff. But as you move over, we're looking for some of those objects that we couldn't find easily. And one of those is called Web Cart Adjustment Group ID. So if you remember back to the slide that I just had up a moment ago, it's called Cart Adjustment Group, but the API name is actually Web Cart Adjustment. So if we could click into this right here, and you could see that we have our Web Cart Adjustment Group, which actually has the adjustment amount, the adjustment type, the source of this adjustment, and it also has a connection back to your price adjustment cause, which is again that promotion. So it has all the connections back to the cart and the promotion. This is one of the records that is a little bit harder to find and isn't actually in the object manager, but you can find it in Workbench if you look in the right places. So now that we've kind of gone down that rabbit hole for a second, let's go back into the UI here. We're inside of cart now. Here's an example of a cart record that I created a while back. This one is currently in the checkout status, so it means I've reached checkout, but I haven't completed yet. You can see that we have all the information we're used to on the cart. I didn't put all those in the Lucidcheck because there's a lot of fields on here, just really the relationships, but you can see it's attached to a store, it's attached to an account, it's created by the individual community user. As you scroll down, you can see there's some payment information, so once this cart has gone to payment, you'll actually be able to view that information here, and then of course you have all your totals. And then as you move over to related, there's two main objects here. You have your cart item and you have your cart delivery group. So let's first go to the delivery group, and you can see that in this delivery group we have who we're shipping to, so what address, and we also have how we're shipping this. So if we were to click this order deliver method, we'll have a carrier in here. And so these are some sampled carriers, but it could say UPS, FedEx, USPS, or whatever shipping you're providing from a storefront perspective. And then this, of course, will relate back to the actual order summary as well. So there's a connection between the cart and the order summary via this order delivery method object. Now, if we go back to the cart and we go to cart items and we click on one of our items here, you can see that we have our cart item, which has a connection to the cart delivery group, so how we're actually planning on delivering this. And this gives us the ability to scale how you're delivering. So you might, at some point, want to customize and say, I want to have split shipments between two of my orders. That gives you the flexibility through that. You have the connection, of course, to the product, and then you have all these roll-up fields here. And as you scroll down, you can start to see that you're seeing adjustments. These are a couple of the tax adjustments. But there are a few other adjustments up here and down below as well, unit adjustment. And these are roll-ups to this cart item. You can go over into relate and you can see I don't see any of those adjustments fields that we were just looking at, but underneath these are actually being calculated based off of that information and based off the promotion engine that is running when you add a coupon or automatically add a promotion. So a little tidbit there and the reason why we went down that rabbit hole. Now, if we go back over to related, you can see that we have our cart tax, which gives us the calculation of the tax for this cart as well, or for this item as well. The last thing I'll hop into is if you go back into cart items here, you can see that you have one more cart item, but it's a special cart item. This is your delivery method cart item here, which again connects some of the pieces to the puzzle back to how you're actually shipping this and all the information and how much it actually costs. so that you can actually have it on a cart item perspective and have that rolled up correctly. So the next grouping we have is promotion here. And we've spent a little bit of time on promotions in the past, and I'll link up a video here in the top right corner. But promotions give you the ability to apply automatic discounts or provide coupons to end consumers who can actually go in and put those into the carts and get adjustments or discounts on their cart and on their order. And the object model here is pretty straightforward. We have our top level promotion, which is kind of the promotion header here. We then have coupons that you can apply to that coupon, so people can type in that coupon. You can do marketing and other such with that coupon code. And then underneath it, these are all the objects we went through in that video where we're qualifying who is applicable to receive this promotion. We're saying who is it targeting. We're saying if there's tiers in it, which is optional. We're saying the segment, and we're saying the market segment. And there's actually a couple of other objects as well. So let's actually hop over into the Lucid chart. So we're in the Lucid chart now, and you can see we have our top level promotion header here, and then we have all of these objects hanging off of it here. And then as you scroll down, we have our segment, and this is where it gets a little bit deeper here. You have your segment, but then you're connecting it back to the sales store or the buyer group here. So you can actually choose how you're planning on segmenting this to the end user. Now, we didn't go too much into this inside of that last video, so why don't we hop back into the instance. We'll go back to our store, and we'll click on promotions down here to get to our promotion workspace. And once we hop into one of our promotions, let's go into our BOGO sync, for instance, we'll be able to go over to segment, and you can see that we have our promotion market segment. And this promotion market segment is connected to a promotion segment. And this promotion segment can either be attached to a store as it is here, or it can be attached to your buyer group. So you have that decision to be able to connect it. Now, if we go back over into our main promotion, you can see that we have our tier object, our coupon, discount qualifiers, and translations if you have that turned on. But these are really straightforward objects. They have a pretty linear connection. So like you have your qualifier, which actually connects back to your product, but then everything else is really just metadata on these objects to be able to understand how you should discount, apply, or connect everything back to the cart. Okay, last but surely not least here, we have orders. So this is kind of the bringing all that information together. At the end of the day, you want orders to come into the system, which is also how it's connected back to your revenue. So on here, we have our order summary. At the very top here, this is kind of the top level that is created and summarizes all the details about the individual order. As I've created other videos, you've seen tons of orders over the time I've been going through that, but we'll go through one in a moment. We also have order, which is the existing order that was in Salesforce. This is traditionally used with CPQ or quoting or opportunity creation from standard Salesforce. But this is also used in our process here. So I'm going to talk more about that as we get into the ERD here in a second. Then we go into order product summary, and you can see there just a note here that there's order product summary and order item summary. They are different on the front end versus the back end. And this is the individual items that a person ordered. So if they have multiple products that they purchased, you'll have multiple product summary records. But if it's the same item, you'll have multiple quantities of the same item. Then we move down into order payment summary, which is exactly what it says. It collects all the payments that a person used as they ordered. Most notably is the credit card, but there are other payment methods as well that we'll go into here in a second. We also have order delivery group, which is exactly what it sounds, delivery information of how we're actually going to be sending this information out through shipping. And then we have the last one on here, which is payment method. This is all about how we're actually paid. It connects into order payment summary and back into our gateways. But let's actually jump into the ERD because I think this will make more sense as we start to connect everything. Okay, so we are on the last tab here. We are in orders. You can see at the very top we have our original order here, and down below we have our order summary. This is where everything is brought together with the order summary. We also have, and I'll actually touch on this first, this object that's kind of hanging out here by itself, and it actually is connected into multiple different locations. but I don't have that listed here because it attaches into so many, but it's called process exception. If you're not familiar with process exceptions, you will likely be as you jump into Commerce Cloud, especially in LWR. Process exceptions are used to actually show that something happened, an error occurred in either checkout or one of the servicing actions. So this object right here is actually used across multiple different clouds, but one of the biggest ones is commerce and order management. So why don't we hop over there and talk about that first, and then we'll get into our main order summary. Okay, so here we are in the org. In this org, I actually don't have any process exceptions that I've come across. But I can go ahead and create new here, and you can see exactly how all this data would actually look. So you can see where it's currently at in the status. You can see the severity. You can see how it's categorized. You can see a lot of them are revolving around ordering, fulfillment, payment, placing order, etc. But this is where it's really magical here is you have this polymorphic field called Pt2 that allows you to attach it to one of these objects. And you can see they're all about the commerce objects here. So the most common ones are around placing orders or doing service actions on orders. And this gives you the LWR experience, the ability to asynchronously process orders, meaning that you can place the order and then it actually goes out and does the order afterwards, but it could run into an error. And what will happen is that order summary will not be generated, but instead a process exception will be generated, and you will be able to take that existing cart and retry to place the order based on the error you've gotten once you've resolved that. So they're really powerful to be able to handle those situations. Now let's hop back over to our Lucidchart. So back to the main event here, which is all about the orders. So we have our order summary, and as I mentioned, we have our order payment summary and our order product summary. And you can see that order payment summary has some magical fields as well. It has this payment method here. So let's hop over back into the experience, and if we go into one of our orders, and I just had one of these open, let's go find another one here, and if we hop into one of these new orders I just had, you can see that we have order payment summary down below. In order payment summary, you can have multiple order payment summaries, although it's very typical to only have one of these through the storefront because that's what it accepts right now. But if you customize it, you could have more than one of these available in here of different types. So you can see that right now I have a method called Visa 1111, and this is the credit card that I've actually used to purchase. But if you look at the payment method right here, it actually will connect back to the card payment method. But card payment method is not the only one you can connect to. If we go back to our Lucidchart, you can see that we have card payment method, we have alternative payment method, and then we have this object called payment method. So let's actually hop back into Workbench because Workbench will show us how all of this is connected together. Okay, so we're in Workbench now, and the easiest way to find that specific record here is if we hop back over into our order payment summary. We'll grab the idea of that, and we'll come over to our query right here, and we will find order payment summary. And once we found that, we'll select all the fields, and we'll filter down to just this one record here. And you can see if we scroll over that we have this field called payment method right here. And if we open up this record, we can see that payment method that we actually viewed here. But we can also go back to Workbench, and if we clear out this filter right here and search again, we will likely have more than just that one type in here. So you can see we have a lot of 03s here. If you had any purchase orders, it would actually connect to the alternative payment method if you set it up that way. But kind of the point that I'm trying to make here is that you have the ability to connect into multiple different objects, which gives you flexibility to design your application. The last call that I'll make on the payment side of this is that it doesn't stop here. If you go back into this record right here, you can see that it connects into payment method, and from payment method, it's going to connect into your payment gateway. So we'll see how all of this kind of pulls in together in a moment once we pull all the diagrams together. But there is quite a web here of objects around the payment capabilities. But as we go down into the next section here, we have our order product summary here. And this order product summary is exactly what it says. It's this record right here when it comes to all of the products that you're purchasing. It talks about quantities, talks about the amounts, the adjustments, and you can see that it's related to tax items in here, and also adjustment records as well, which I have not noted in the Lucidchart because that is really where we get into OMS. Order management is what Salesforce calls it, and that gives you the ability to do post-order actions. So I haven't called those out, but there is actually a ton of objects around the adjustments of order summaries afterwards. And also as another reason why orders are here too, you will always have one order to the original order summary, but if you start making changes to it with order management, you'll start to have what they call change orders, which are individual order records that represent the change you've made to order summary. But I won't digress into that too much. There'll likely be another series on order management in the future, which I'll talk more about that. So that's one section right here. The next section is the order delivery group. So we go back into Salesforce here. We can see the order delivery group summary by clicking on this nice component that they've given us called shipping addresses right here. And underneath it, this is order delivery group, which connects back to the order delivery method, which is exactly how we're shipping this out, and then who we're shipping it to. So that's a key portion of how we actually deliver this order. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to pull up all of the objects together here. So we have our existing ERD at the top that we reviewed last time. Below, you'll see that I've tied in all of the other object groups that we talked about. So we can see we have order down here, and again, I've highlighted and bolded the links back to the other objects. So order has quite a few, and I have not done all of them. For instance, I have not connected it back to user in a lot of cases because this thing would look like a spider web at that point. But kind of the key ones that link it together. So we have accounts here, which link order and order summary to accounts and how it's grouped up together. We have order product summary, which links to product. So you can see that kind of makes its weave back up here to the product object. And then we have our payment methods right here, which link up to our gateway, which link back to the name credentials, which link back to all the other integration services we talked about last time. The next here we have our carts. So we have all of our cart records, cart items, and then their links back to these two in this case are back to promotion. And then we have to product as well. And then we have a couple of promotions, one up here as well. And you can see promotion links back to qualifiers, which are products, and several things link into promotion and coupon between the orders and the actual products here. So as I blow this out for a second here, you can see that we have a lot of objects on here, and this is only really a fraction of them. This is all of the main ones and a couple of the detail ones, but there are other ones that go between these and support these as well. Hopefully this was helpful to kind of see the natural breakout. I find it helpful as I get into a new platform or system to understand the natural groupings of the data, because the data makes up the store, makes up the application. And so you can see as you start to break this out, it becomes less intimidating here, and you can start to understand, okay, how do orders work, how do carts work, how do categories work, how do products work. So hopefully this was helpful. If you guys want access to this Lucidchart, I'm happy to provide it. If someone wants to post that, happy to talk about how to get access to that. Thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed it. Post any questions if you have it in the comments, and thanks for watching.